the questions are always formulated in terms of specific emotions. Okay, how do I deal with this kind of emotion? How do I deal with that kind of emotion? Okay, fear, rage, shame, impatience, grief, bereavement, etc., etc. But really, you deal with it all in exactly the same way. In terms of the have a complete experience of it, the answer to all of these questions is the same answer. If we're going to do a focus on it, if we're taking that strategy, the it meaning now, you name it, anger, fear, sadness, embarrassment, impatience, disgust, confusion, any of the emotional challenges, same basic principles apply. Untangle and be free. That's one really basic principle. And then work with the parts, work with the whole, work with elements, work with systems. In other words, work at small scale of organization, work at large scale. Alternate the wide scope and the narrow scope so that you sort of do pointed work in the small scope. And if you get quality work in all the different small scales, then you'll discover that carries over into the large scale, and the overall constellation ceases to become a prison. So these are the basic themes, and you just do it over and over and over again. You set up the apparatus, the situation, and you let time pass. When you have an intense emotional arising, there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is feel and image and talk, all three elements are probably pretty strongly activated. When you get subtle emotional arisings, mid-scale or micro-scale emotions that come up in daily life, they may not noticeably activate all three. You might only be aware of the talk part, for example. So there is, in a sense, something good about having a big emotional Vesuvius. I know there's also like something bad about it because it's like miserable, right? The opportunity is you probably have strong eruptions, not just in talk space, but in image space and feel space. You remember the situation, you relive the situation, you rehearse about the situation. That's going to involve image space, okay? And then you've got the eruptions in feel space that are definitely not subliminal, okay? There's the ache in your heart, okay? There's the butterflies in your stomach. There's the cold fear up your spine. There's the general shake over your whole body. There's the tightness in the jaw. There's the I want to hit someone in the arms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the components are active. They're not subtly active. It's all there. So work with the parts, work with the whole. Focus for a little. What's the weakest link? Often the weakest link is image space. Not inevitably, of course, depending. Some people get some very strong things, archetypal things, weird things in image space. But I find for myself, among the three, if I have an emotional upheaval, typically the image is the weakest link. And the next weakest is actually, for me, talk. The most challenging is the feel in the body. Physical discomfort, you can, your body has a natural tendency to go into equanimity with physical discomfort. Physical discomfort is just part of being an animal. And it happens to animals, so the body sort of knows what to do. Uncomfortable feel, actually all the feel, not just uncomfortable feel. Feel, the somatic component of emotional experience. When you're dealing with feel, okay, I'm being poetic here. I hope you'll understand. You're fighting with Darwin. you're dealing with something that has been honed over millions of years to control you. It's been honed by evolution to control us, to control our behavior. It's been honed to be hard to have equanimity with, okay? Honed by evolutionary forces. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of strong feel arising and getting the sense that this isn't just me, that this is like this thing that's happening in my body is the tip of an iceberg, and it goes down and out, and it's like everyone that ever had this happen to them in their life, you know, all of millions and millions of sentient beings. This is not just me. I mean, this is like the whole evolutionary development of the limbic brain, which goes back at least to advanced reptiles, okay? This is the monitor lizard. It's like these sensations have been fine-tuned by the greatest engineering force known to us, which is evolution. The sensations: anger, fear, sadness, embarrassment, impatience, disgust, interest. Interest you can't ignore either. If you wonder why you're running all those entertaining fantasies, okay, just look for the interest flavor. It's controlling you. You think the mind's controlling, but the reason you're running those entertaining fantasies is the interest flavor is saying, fantasize, entertain yourself, and you'll get more of me. They're designed to be, that we can't ignore them, and it's hard to have equanimity with them. It's hard, them meaning the different flavors of feel. It's hard to be matter-of-fact about them, much harder than it is with regards to physical discomfort. However, they are just body sensations. And when a person is 8 years old, they're controlled by rage, terror, grief, and shame. Hopefully, by the time they're 80 years old, they will have learned something. But usually they haven't. And why haven't they? Because every time those sensations came up, they could not be ignored and they could not be viewed matter of fact. That person never attempted to untangle or just observe, et cetera, et cetera. No growth in skill took place over, that lifetime. So when it comes time to die and those things come up very strongly, perhaps, freak out city. But good news, we're in this situation where we can train ourselves. This retreat environment is, it's vaccination against future suffering. Okay, stuff's coming up, and we're retraining our deep circuits. So untangle, what part is feel, what part is image, what part is talk. You can free float among them all, or you can just tease out just the image for a while, just the talk for a while, just the feel for a while. Tease them apart so that instead of multiplying together, they merely add. And then try to the best of your ability to totally open and affirm that, to not press it down, but also to not hold on. And it just takes time, practice. If that doesn't work, untangle in more detail.